One final clash to end it all. Perky and Nixamera versus Rybot and Heel Control. Game 1 begins now. We're going to be seeing who's on the play here as the hands are both shuffled up by the players here. And it looks like Rybot is going to be starting off with an expend to draw. So Rybot in Heel Control gets the lead, and I feel like that's a really good spot to be in for Heel.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad option at the expend to draw and set 2. You know, back when this deck was a little more prominent instead of Moonrise, we did see this play happen quite a bit because you had no problem taking it just a little bit slower than your opponent. And that's going to bait a Poison Tipped Arrow as the Champ Brummeling's coming down, being able to search a card out here. I wonder if Perky's going to go for an early copy of Blizzard just to snipe the other back row. And it looks like that might be the case.
Man, I sure do love that tablet art. It's the marble art of Brummelings right there. This looks beautiful. But yeah, the Blizzstrix I think is really good. And it's something I had a realization of earlier. Like, if you want to be destroying back row with Nixamera, why not have Nixamera help out with that? I'm sorry, why not have Brummelings help out with that? Because it can search out a card that can destroy a back row that cannot be responded to thanks to Blizzard. So you pull that out, and now we're not even worried about the back row, which means that Rybot's going to have to worry about Blizzard being in Perky's hand the entire time, waiting, okay, how many do I overset? Oh, wait, does he have Hurricane? Maybe I don't want to set too many, etc., etc. So it's going to be a really tight situation that Rybot's going to have to navigate as we have Brummelings being destroyed thanks to the Poison Tipped Arrow. So, you know, just trying to maintain as much control of the board as possible. And look at that back row widening. The Blizzard fear is real swole.
Yeah, as we get to the OG Champ Galaxy coming down here, a staple card that we've been seeing all tournament long. Also meeting a PTA, Whale Arrow ? Happened in finals. Holy, still going to take a damage here from Perky, trying to equalize those spirits out. Rybot is not in a bad position per se. Those 3 counter runes are great, but Perky still might be able to have an explosive turn and take Rybot's spirits down just a little bit. Once again, Heel might not be looking like Heel for just a little bit longer.
I'm not going to lie that, I mean, the situation is just kind of still in Perky's control, because you can tell just from the plays that are happening, Rybot is playing with concern, not fear, but definitely more caution than you would like to see. But are we not going to see a cast of an Elestral by Perky? No Elestral. Wait, that's a major swing, as Rybot will be healing water thanks to Sluggle.
That's going to be a pretty important turn for Perky here too, because you're now allowing the heal player, and this is typically where heal likes to be, is your opponent is now down in tempo, choosing to forgo for card advantage, and you have a Sluggle coming in to heal back those key spirits and also deal damage. Gorgon's Gate's coming down here though, stopping both those things. That's kind of costly though.
Yeah, just taking that damage there. Look at where Gorgon's gazing, the healing has to be the healing to stop the attack as well. And honestly, it makes sense for Perky just to try to keep the spirit count as equal as possible. We are playing the Blizzard, but now we got to play, choose the hat, as it were. We're going for the middle, and that is Shield of Achilles.
It's never resolving.
I mean, it's tough to say, yeah, in this situation. Now we're casting out the Galaxy, going to be, well, making the Galaxy a 5 attack, and the Sluggle just looking like, wait, what happened?
It's Galaxy coming down here, Champ Poseidon. Truly the battle of the whales here, once again for this tournament. Acting the effect of the Galaxy and trying to swing over this Sluggle. This might be the case where Argo takes hold once again. Rybot's reaching for Sluggle, letting it go. That's going to be Sluggle down, but Rybot's still really up in spirits.
I think considering the board state, and we don't know Rybot's hand, but I imagine that Sluggle was not worth protecting right now. I can get over another way, especially if I have Calf Mail or something. Like, I'd much rather protect that than anything else. But we do have a water cast to a Galaxy. Wait a minute. No,
that's going to be the Champ Galaxy.
That is Shrimp Galaxy out there going in and setting another back row to meet. Well, we know that the Blizzard was spent. We don't know if a second one is in hand, though. You have to assume that since Boomerlink searched... Argo. Since Boomerlink searched Blizzard, that there's already a Mountains of Boreas in hand. But we have Artifact. Argo searching an Artifact and casting out Liar. That makes sense. Swapping the stacks back of Perky's Galaxy and just shutting it down on this attack.
You can't go for a Necklace of Harmonia here, which does make this a little bit more dangerous to keep this Champ Whale out here for Rybot. But what a great Argo play. That Argo was set last turn for Sluggle, so it really making sure that you are keeping the play alive by enabling maybe a slightly more defensive. It looks like maybe even that Lyre is attached to Rybot's own whale.
Yeah, possibly. Interesting.
Well, yeah, it's opting for the effect.
You know what? It didn't opt for the effect and then got the swap there. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. But now we have the Champ Galaxy just, flipping everything. We have Gorgon's Gaze to meet it, keeping Perky on the back foot. Rybot with really methodical plays down is still down in spirit advance, especially with all the back row being played, but it is enough to keep control. That's Heliolift bouncing the Champ Galaxy and getting in for 3.
Jumping in hot here, Rybot is back in the driver's seat as a 5/5 body and this 5/2 body in the Galaxy are super hard to deal with. Heliolift doing what they do best and really pairing well with those artifact runes. You love to see it. Perky has one set back row and a hand that might just be full of Nixamaras and Cryoverns. It is now tied 6-6 in spirits.
Man, and not to mention the board presence is crazy. 1 face down on each side, but 2 and an artifact for Rybot. This is the situation that I imagined Heal Control was going to be in. Nixamara, it's expensive to get started. Once you get there, then yeah, it's crazy, but are you going to be allowed to? And Rybot has all the correct pieces. Not only that, but playing them, moving them to the right square at the right time to really keep control of this game. As we have a new Elestral being cast by Perky.
Now that's Bunnix right there. That is the Stellar Bunnix.
Oh, okay.
One of the most beautiful styles here. Arrow coming down here to snipe the bunny.
We're not going to expend. Man, PTA just hates rabbits.
Yeah, a PTA hates to see the rabbit coming. We have Bunnix here. It's going to go down to this, opting maybe to expend. Perky is a little bit low on spirit, so I imagine the deck thing is not super important at the moment. But now that's going to put Perky in a really rough spot because now representing on the board, potentially even next turn, is 4 spirit damage from Rybot.
I want the emotional damage of seeing a Strava in an anime being shot and taken down by a poison-tipped arrow. just imagine that in the end. That's episode of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood damaging right there.
Oh God! Only if you're Trish trying to hunt whales too, as I can see equipped with those poison-tipped arrows.
Absolutely! Get that on a crossbow. Half the stat. Ambrosia by Perky trying to keep themselves into the game, not paying off of the Bunnix. Interestingly enough.
Yeah, trying to make Rybot close the spirit gap and pay out that PTA. Perky's like, if you're going to heal, I'm going to heal too. And I think this is going to be very interesting as with Perky's open board, you're still taking 3 to 4 damage here.
If I'm going to heal, I'm going to heal too. I get it. But you're absolutely right. Just trying to maintain how can you heal control?
I've seen it done once before, but to be fair, I think after that point, a 1 Sluggle might just also put the heal back in Rybot's favor. The spirits are now equal back to 7/7, but Rybot's got 4 damage on the board.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge swing. I mean, you could Tsunami. That saves you 2. Well, 1, because you got to pay for the Tsunami. But otherwise, this is just a game state that you don't really want to deal with. Water is just so good at getting a lot of attacks in because it cannot be stopped with 1 single rune.
I had a nickel for every single time I've seen Heal do well inside of a finals of a Premier Tournament. This would be the 2nd time. Maybe taking some notes from Julian's previous play here. Rybot is closing this spirit gap with the swiftness.
Absolutely. Mulligan, it is Tsunami. Okay, so we are going to save ourselves 1, but it doesn't really open up any new avenues. We're still taking all the damage that we need to.
Yeah, every single spirit counts. And I think if you're Perky here, holding on to, let's say, like 2 more here could be good. You have a potential Cryovern and Cryoling combo, which I think we might see pop down here with this Cryoling, the beautiful artwork for the Shattered Stars.
Yeah, I do love that Shadow Stars artwork, but the artwork that isn't going to save you into a good play. But we do have, so we're in the situation where you thought the game would become unbeatable for Rybot and Heal Control. Cryovern is on the field. Do you think that face down is real enough to stop the onslaught? The Heliolith is in defense, so it cannot be argoed with unless you do Scythe.
Well, I think so Rybot has 0 cards in hand. Perky's confirming Cryvern's going to swing over and the Whale's going to go down. What's really funny about this one is I do think that on 2 spirits, if that back row is particularly Argo or Necklace of Harmonia, you take that crash if you're Rybot and then just swing the other 2 for the Heliolith. It turns out to be maybe nothing, and this Cryovern could just be enough. Are we re-enchanting Sluggle?
We are not going to flip Necklace of Harmonia.
Oh, we are.
We are flipping Liar.
Liar Apollo to swap the attack and defense of the Cryovern. Helios can now hit over, and then Sluggle deals the last 2 bits of damage here. Going
not
game
Sluggle
1.
For game. Not Sluggle for game.
Rybot taking down game 1 in this Premier Finals with a Sluggle onslaught. Starting out here, Brumlinks might be killer.
Yeah, absolutely. Brumlinks would be a great. Or Strabon as well. We love Funny Bunny in defense.
Tried and true Elestrals play.
Do not have to worry about a poison tip arrow on turn 1, play 1.
Yeah, but an arrow does not hate to see this rabbit coming, but Rabbit here is, wouldn't be Elestrals Finals without at least 1 Rabbit cast, and I don't believe we saw Rybot really go for anyone in particular. We saw Bunnix in the previous one for Perky, and Rabbit here coming down for going to maybe search for some counter runes. A lack of counter runes from Perky last game was also pretty killer. Maybe afraid of potential removal there, and seems like they have a good choice here.
The stat swapping manipulation is going to be the play for this one, because even though Estrabit, if it just stays in defense, anything else in Rybot's list isn't really doing anything. You do have to watch out for Champ Galaxy, which will absolutely snipe the Estrabit out and can become a 5 attacker with base Galaxy on field. So, it's not a terrible spot to be in. Just watch out for Shrimp Whale.
Yeah, get the fried rice ready. This stir fry is about to be delicious. I think it's so funny to think about Eddie being the previous chef on the board here against a rabbit in defense position. Used to be the premier out, but then Argo is everywhere. And now that Argo is back in action, Edward is nowhere to be found. And instead, Champ Galaxy goes crazy. And Rybot is going to go ahead and go here a champion of Apollo Plucky to search out a liar.
All right, not a terrible play. Just going for the defensive play. Similar to Smotuga, defensive body, get out a search to your list, and now we have to worry about a quick Heliolith coming out later on in this matchup. So Perky needs to be aware that your stats can be swapped at any time. As a matter of fact, this could have been a swap to Estrabit, but I guess also didn't want to risk the Estrabit being protected and giving your opponent a 5 attacking buddy.
Yeah, there is kind of a risk here to having a liar on your opponent, right? And that's the spirits can stick around. A shield on your own Elestral can mean that, yes, you are now a more powerful Elestral, which is great. And then also Rybot could potentially use those spirits too, so there is some counterplay around it. I will say holding this liar for those key moments like the Cryovern, I think is probably going to be the matchmaker. Unless you're going to set and bluff like it's nobody's business, but a 3 defense Plucky is not super great either though.
Not at all, but you don't really, Estrabit's not going to try to get over it. And if you go for anything else, then, we have the Blizzard to snipe out the Gorgon's Gaze. And now we have an open back row, so Perky can play however they want. If we have Boomerlinks in hand, you search out Borean or maybe even another Blizzard. But no, we have Narpoon. Almost Boomerlinks if you squint.
Narpoon is a great option here between this or Nixamera. The 2 cards I would say would be really good in this position. You're able to get over the Plucky, do a little bit of damage, and you want to try and take advantage and tempo. And the only 2 cards that can realistically, well, actually maybe 3 cards that can do that are the Champ Brummelinks, Narpoon, or Bunnix, which I would really love to see come down here in the finals. A Nixamera finish could be crazy.
Did I see that? Was that a Hydrake?
That could have been Hydrake.
I'm sorry, not Hydrake. My brain farted on what I thought it was. I said Hydrake. I do not know why. I don't think it was Boomerlinks though.
It would have been any. So I think the Frost borders on the Premier could be where the light trick is happening. I think I wouldn't be surprised if that was Brumlinks, but a Hydrake could be pretty interesting. Alternatively, the Cryovern and the Cryoling line also very live here as a Cough comes down from Rybot.
Cryoling, that's what I was thinking of it. Thank you, Swole.
Go for Cough try to swing over the rabbit here. No back row from Rybot, by the way.
Yeah, no back row at all. Just trying to get rid of the Estrabit, which, you know, this is a good opportunity. I feel like Estrabit is typically defeated when you throw it into attack position. So let's see how this one works out.
This is a hard choice from Perky. If that's a Tsunami in the back row, this is also really funny because Kaufmel in defense means you really have a hard time getting over it unless you have specifically Mountain Saborius. And that's going to be a Astrabbit there, I think, coming down and attack. There's no Specteris.
Oh, Specteris is going to be major.
Whoa. Coming back to Justin T, the ghost to haunt Rybot's past. Perky is going to take down the Kaufmel, deal 1 damage to Narpoon. This is a crazy board for this position.
It's, I mean, Specteris is going to laugh at a lot of what Rybot wants to do. Base Galaxy get laughed at. Galaxy, I'll deal with that with the, I'm sorry, Champ Galaxy, I'll deal with that with the back row. Anything else get laughed at. So Specteris, you protect that bug with gusto.
Yeah, I think it's no secret that we've seen 2 of our top performers inside this tournament play the big bad bug, and the A-Drive agenda could not be stronger. Kaufmel is nothing to this suppression beast, as there's that Liar coming down from Rybot, potentially swapping out that Specteris, making it a 2/4 body now.
Yeah, not the greatest situation, and Kent won't be able to deal with the Galaxy as we have Heliolith coming out. Oh, what are we bouncing? Are we going to bounce the Narpoon? We're not going to bounce the Narpoon, right?
I think you do. And the Gorgon's Gate is going to stop that Heliolith in its tracks, and that's going to be very rough. You cannot hit over anything. It's a pass back to Perky, no back row. This Heliolith is a sitting duck.
Yeah, we know Cryoling is in hand, so if the Frost are in Underworld, which I think Perky was just checking, we might see Cryovern. There is a free back row for Perky to play into. So this is the time to get out Cryovern, and that's exactly what is going to be. Oh, which is hard ascending. It's a hard ascension. What's that? The
Solar Spirit.
Solar Enchanted?
Uh-oh. Okay, not to K-Cray too much here. I think that a Cryovern Solar Ascension only means one thing for me, and that is a potential setup for a Nixamera Ascension on the following turn. This Cryovern has to stick around, or else that play's dead, but are we going to see a Nixamera Solar Water and Frost come in?
Rybot with the confirmation of the spirits enchanting the Cryovern. They'll be saying something's weird here. I'm unsure.
Galaxy, regular Galaxy.
Yeah, Galaxy. This is exactly what Perky doesn't want to see, because now that is a 4/7 Cryovern, and that does not stick around as long as it needed to. I feel like that. So risky, yes, but we know we have the other Cryoling in hand, so now we can get out Cryovern again and just try that whole play again. So yeah, not the worst scenario.
No, I think it's very funny because the confirmation of the spirits was important to where you can go into this regular Galaxy. Classic way to deal with a Cryovern on the Frost matchup is you just say, yeah, you're water enchanting the player on Tsunami. However, OG Whale, if you will, is my answer. And that's going to swap everything from a 5/4 and easily be able to deal with that the Dragon of Frost there. Maybe getting some confirmation here on the attack and defense. Perky is mulling over their options for the Specteris as a 2/4 body. Cannot hit over this Whale.
No, not at all. I mean, even with the attack buff, stat swaps are weird. So
the key here is to stay safe. It's set, add and defense, and then it's swap. So if we get an attack declaration from the Specteris, it's a 2/4 from the Liar. It's going to try to activate its effect. It's a 2/4 still. Effective suppression activates. It's a 2/5. That's the play here.
Yeah, it just feels so unintuitive to my mind. I know it, but it just feels wrong. You know, feels dirty.
Now it's all a little bit. Same. It's a little bit wonky here on this play too, because there are double stat swapping happen for the Liar and for the Whale. Once you start adding a lot of those swaps in the mix, you then have to start stacking that on top of it. I don't feel envy for our judges and our rules monitors and our players trying to do those calculations.
Well, right now Perky is going to have to make a move. It's been about a minute since we've seen any active play from Perky. Don't want to get a slow play warning absolutely in finals, but we're in a situation where. I mean, the Cryolink is in hand. I'm pretty sure the Cryolink is in hand. Don't you just cast it out? Is it not that simple? I guess maybe trying to think, in the future.
Yeah, trying to think of what could be potentially the out here. Again, another Heliolith could be pretty devastating from Rybot dropping that down. Rybot's got a fairly open hand for the most part, it looks like, as Perky's going to drop down a Mountains of Boreas and Frost Enchant the Spectress to boost up the attack and defense, allowing this to get over the whale, activating the effect to suppress the whale, and now the stat swaps really don't matter all too much. This Specterus becomes a 3/6.
That is hilarious. This is the most abnormal Specterus I have ever seen.
That was crazy.
That does work and does save the burst option of Cryovern for later in the game, so I love it. I like how, we've definitely seen some people casting out Champion of Apollo Exaltus for the matchup here, try to make another point to cast off Nixamera Risen form, but instead he's going for the offensive pressure of a Misenchanted Cryovern to set that up in the future. Boombat by Rybot is the immediate answer to out the 2 Spirit Enchanted Specterus, but now you lost a pretty good option to the potentially incoming Cryovern. And still no back row by Rybot. This is what, 3 turns?
And that's a Cryovern coming down uncontested, going to be able to deal 2 points of spirit damage. Those Boom Bats, I imagine, were sided in. We really don't see those in a lot of the turn 1s from Rybot, but a good idea to try to take some space back against that Specterus. You don't want to try to take a lot of damage. However, that Boom Bat could have been very, very helpful against this 7/4 body, which I can't imagine Perky's going to want to Water Enchant again.
No, absolutely not. Like, you only did that because he went over the Narpoon, but here, you go for the Solar or Lunar Enchant, right? That's
solar. Right. Solar right there. You're trying to go off for that Nixamera Ascend here that we're trying to read, and if only Rybot will let it happen, it seems like this swing to face for 2 is going to put down the spirits a little bit low, and a Sluggle here doesn't feel great, even backed up by an Argo.
Also, this is an 8/5 Cryovern thanks to Mountain now, so even if it was Water Enchanted, like, the best thing you could do is crash and take 1.
I forgot about the Boreas. Stadium Wars are back as a rabbit comes down from Rybot to try to dig into some answers.
Yeah, that's not great, but it could give you the back row you need. But if we're seeing Nixamera next turn, your back row doesn't matter unless it's Poison Tipped Arrow. Then it's like a perfect back row, but we'll see what happens.
Even Poison Tipped Arrow isn't great into the Nixamera matchup here. You might want to hold it for specifically the Fallen form. I think that otherwise you're losing this rabbit. That's gonna be.
Wait, does Risen's in phase effect trigger before the PTA?
I think you'd rather hold it for whenever the. In my mind, what you do is you hold it not for the Risen, but you hold it for the Fallen. So they go Risen, they do their thing, and you Fallen. Now, if the Risen is able to hit in the back row, that's great. But does Perky have the Solar Spirits to do it? That I'm unsure about.
That's what I'm questioning, because if they do have it, then the PTA is moot for Fallen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you fire it off at that point right on cast. But I think that's the read if Rybot has. Ooh, Ambrosia's not bad here, but it's finally a back row from Rybot.
Yeah, after 3 or 4 turns, it's been pretty dry back there for Rybot. Right now, Perky is on a play, Cryovern in hand, probably questioning, do I want to just go for Nixamera? How real do I think that back row is? I can't do damage, so maybe not. And we go for Galaxy instead, likely swapping the stats. So both of these Elestrals can get over this. And, one way or another, this Astrabbit should go down.
Yeah, one way or another, gonna blonde getcha. This rabbit is absolutely down. And an Argo here potentially to save the rabbit
there's
here.
No way we're seeing Scythe, right?
Scythe?
Is it Liar? It would be Liar. Liar on a Strabbit would save him after the stat swap.
It's Pandora's box.
A 5 attacker.
No. PK, hold the phone. That was a Pandora's box full art coming down to stop the Argo cast.
Pandora's box! Pandora's chocolate is real right now! Told you guys, look at it showing up and making a difference here in finals. Absolutely smothering the Argo. And you guys laughed at me. You guys thought I was fake, that I was just making stuff up. No, I am a seer. I understand this, and Pandora's box will show you fear.
Oh my God, opening up for absolute chaos on the desk here. That was an insane play. What a side deck from Perky. I imagine that comes in for the Bear matchup, but it's also good against Argo because Pandora specifically says cast from deck. And so as the Galaxy comes down here, potentially to swap a card on the board, not the Cryovern, Rybot is gonna have to deal with a lot here. Counting spirits up after an Ambrosia, getting them back in the game. Wow, what a Pandora's.
That Pandora's box, I mean, you never know when cards are going to be pulled from the deck. There are a lot of cards that do that right now, and just getting a complete snipe on that at the last second can, I mean, it stopped the entire play that Rybot had while losing too. Right now, we have the Spirits on board. We have Cryovern, a Narpoom coming out again to search out a Boomerlinks. It's not looking good for, as a matter of fact, I think that is a concession by Rybot.
That's a concession from Rybot. We're going to a game 3 in this finals, Nixamera versus Heal.
And it looks like immediately we already have a mulligan. Now, we saw Rybot mulligan twice in the last round and make it to finals. So I'm just going to put my feet up and assume that this is no problem. Right?
Yeah, I think that if we're Rybot here, only one mulligan is good enough. I think that you have a reason to say that you can mulligan maybe once, maybe twice, and a Sluggle will get you back in there. And if you're Perky too, Perky's on their mulligan as well, maybe trying to load up the Underworld with Frost Spirits for those Cryling Cryoverns early, which we see just have a great tempo swing in the last game.
We will have to see how this one works out. Do we have a double mulligan? We do have a double mulligan. Now that is a mulligan you want to take. And you know, it was probably one of those situations where Perky was like, I will keep this if you don't mulligan, but I don't really want to mulligan. I really want to mulligan this away. So, you know, we have a double mulligan. It looks like both of our casters are okay. And now we have a play out of a Strabbit on turn 1 for Rybot after a double mulligan for both casters. So now we're just, you know, it's the pace lap time. We're playing a Strabbit. We're playing low to the ground. We're trying to set up our tempo and our traps before we go any further.
Yeah, I think this is going to be another game of inches here if we're seeing a rabbit come down from Rybot. I think that Perky's options here aren't limited, but a good start to this would probably be something like a Brummalinks, trying to get into some Blizzards early to snipe out some of these Argos. We see Rybot setting more than one this turn to maybe play around those Blizzards as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've always seen Blizzard do a lot for Perky here, but instead we are just meeting it, rabbit. But do we have a poison tip arrow to snipe? We do not. So now we're going to be able to search up, and if Perky can match the energy with 2 back row as well, I think that puts us at a pretty even positioning as we go into turn 3.
This is going to be where Elestrals shines, or these kind of gummy board states. You know, I've heard from previous finalists and champions before that rabbit against rabbit is a very tight situation. It's usually the first person to move here to have a reaction and a subsequent equal reaction to really set off the domino effect here. Rybot could easily drop a championship whale and have this whole little Jenga board fall.
You're not wrong. We do have the energy matched with 2 back row set as well, with a re-enchant to the Strabbit. So we're really not comfortable right now.
I'm curious to know if that's a good play here. I think that re-enchanting rabbit normally is something solid, but are we just trying to hunker down our defenses, maybe trying to dig into more boom bats? Not exactly sure.
Yeah, I mean, there was clearly a lot of fear that was imposed by the Cryoverns coming out because, you know, as you said earlier, and I think we were both proven right in this matchup, so it just depends on how the dice roll. But when the big guys are out on Perky's board, Rybot has difficulty getting over it. Like, we saw 8-5 Cryovern, and I think Rybot was just like, darn, that's it.
Yeah, and this rabbit here in defense means that you do have to have, well, here it is, the championship whale and or Cryoling to help deal with it. Let's see what Rybot has a response for. It's like maybe a Gorgon's Gaze coming off here, taking one off the rabbit to stop that champion of Poseidon whale in its tracks. That's a really good sign here. You don't, unlike Eddie, where you previously would wait for the attack step or the damage step to stop the Eddie from swinging in. You can't let Champion Galaxy's effect go off, because especially with the rabbit on the board, now you have 2/5 defenders trying to contest your 2 defense rabbit.
So, you know, I had to stop that on the Gusto, but, you know, a Strabbit going to attack. Is this foretelling an Argo play in the future? Just switches to attack and just said pass?
No, I think that we're seeing here is another counter move to another champion Poseidon. So the idea is that if Rybot's response to this Poseidon rabbit play, champion whale play, is that if you have one of your own, Rybot's now staring down 2 5s and or has to crash the board.
And what if it's base Galaxy?
If it's base Galaxy, then you're in a very similar position, just the other way around. And it looks like that we do have base Galaxy there, so we have to answer the question. That's what Perky's response is. This gets very dicey, very fast.
Is this going to be Gorgon's Gaze and Battle Step? Because if so, I would trade that.
It's gonna
It
be
is shield. Okay. So not the worst situation. You do reset and you get information on your opponent's hand, knowing that base Galaxy is available to just flip things on his head however you want. But you have the room now to maneuver how you want to as we maneuver the Estrava into a different position. Just wanting to, to match the energy there. Estrava.
Yeah. I think this is also really funny too, because now if you are Perky, it's hard to justify a position where you have a Cryovern enchanted with a Water Spirit like you did the previous time. Because now, like you said, knowing the hand knowledge of the Galaxy being bounced back, Cryovern, as a Galaxy gets re-enchanted here to swap everyone's attack and defense, Cryovern can't be Water enchanted now, which then plays worse into Tsunami. Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting catch-22 that Perkies find themselves in.
I mean, unless you get that Mountains of Boreas back up.
Oh, absolutely. That's the
then
one saving
it's
grace.
like, okay, I'm Water enchanted all day. That's fine. I can make this to a Visit when I want. I can make it to a Fallen when I want. I'm good.
It looks like the Rabbit goes down to the swapped attack defense of the Whale. Rabbit's going to swing over, and Champ Galaxy's going to swing into Rybot for 2 damage, and that back row presumably is nothing.
Possibly, or it could be a Tsunami, something they can't find the value that Rybot wants right now. All the same, though, we are going to have base Galaxy come back out. So now we have a 5-2 Champ Galaxy on Perky's side and the Stravik. Do we protect it once again? Is it Battle Step?
Might be Battle Step Gorgon's time to suppress the Galaxy. Unless, no, that Rabbit's going to go down, saying that's perfectly fine. I don't think you hate that too much. Perky's still putting on a lot of pressure with this Galaxy Champ of Poseidon still being stat swapped. With a Spectaris coming down, there's the suppression.
Oh, we saw this last time, and it was a huge boon of problems for Rybot. We got to see if the face down is a Gorgon's Gaze to just not allow this to happen. It is a Shield of Achilles. So at the worst, we could see a crash from the champion and still deal 1 point of damage to Rybot. I see if Perky values the Champ Galaxy more than that. And I think they do.
Yeah, I think you might want to. You keep the presence on board, which is really nice. But at the same time, that Spectaris can deal with most threats in Rybot's decks. We're talking about those Kaufmels, talking about those Galaxies, and we are going to see a proposal for a trade here. And that's going to be 1 spirit damage to Rybot. You'll take those games of inches. And now Perky with 2 back row resetting the board. Perky's got that Spectaris in hand for a solid beater. This is so difficult for Rybot.
Yeah, we haven't seen any healing options for Rybot. Let me just, speak that to existence. It's going to be Kaufmel or Sluggle. This is a perfect board for Sluggle.
Absolutely. The open board state like this, just like the open sea, Sluggle loves to traverse. And from your lips to God's ear, there's the Sluggle.
Spoke that to existence.
Spoiled fruit!
Oh, the tech counter wounds. Pandora's box in game 1, spoiled fruit in game 2. Game 3 in game 2. But this is a board of control for Perky. They are ready for all contingencies.
That was a 1 copy removal for the Sluggle, the exact card that Perky needed there. That's some forced scurvy on the open seas. There's no Argo alive that can save that Sluggle, as we are going to go for a Brummelings champ, and a value gainer here is crazy.
Are we going to go for we have to go for Blizzard right here, right?
Blizzard would be crazy. Gonna grab the Blizzard here. You cannot have that card be anything. If it's an Argo that Rybot's waiting on, if it's a Gorgons, if it's a shield, you should just fire that off now. You have the spirits left for the Cryovern. This is in Perky's hands right now.
If the Blizzard isn't fired off right now, then that face down is absolutely real by Perky. It depends, does he feel like he can protect this Boomerlinks going into his next turn?
Feel like can, and we see Rybot take 1 damage here. Gonna hold that Blizzard for potentially a hotter day to turn down the temperature. Rybot 6 spirits to Perky's 6. Match point here for both these casters. Rybot is still not out of this. Heal can easily come back from a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the Kaufmel and a lot of offensive options and way to heal up. But remember that Spectres is looming in the wings of Perky's hand right now. So it's not safe, as we have, I believe that's Plucky, searching out the Lyre of Apollo.
That is Champ Plucky, and no spoiled fruit to take out this duck. We also are potentially forgetting Heliolith plays, which I imagine is going through Rybot's head of trying to walk Perky into a position where they are lower on spirits. You can drop a Liar, bounce with the Heliolith, and pull a bow, fellow teammate for the penthouse, to swing into Perky. Potentially even firing off this Liar Apollo now for the extra heal could be good.
We'll see what Rybot may be cooking. Like the kitchen of Rybot's hand is absolutely stirred, but let's see if it's going to make any recipe worth talking about as a face down Liar.
Ooh. That's right. Considering the Liar going to heal back up with Plucky. Spoil free number 2.
I feel like the face down Liar was spent just because they didn't want to lose it to Blizzard. But
well,
now you let your opponent know, like, not only was the face down fake, but there's an extra Liar in your hand.
And also, too, this Plucky heals and becomes a 5 attacker, so Perky now has to respond to it. Rybot's only on 4 spirits, though, with no counter runes. That's going to be devastating if Perky's able to stick, like, a Cryoling or something.
Yeah, not the spot you want to be in. Just trying to figure it out. Get over the Boomerlings with the Plucky, which they do so. But no back row is live now. So Spectrus can just come down. If you have anything else to play out that can beat this Plucky, I would do that. Like, the best play right now is a Champ Galaxy.
Absolutely. And I think Perky here is in a prime position to, I mean, honestly, the world is their oyster, or oystress, so to speak. Expend a draw is an option. You can just set cards and hope that Rybot doesn't have anything next turn. Any Elestral will effectively do it over a 5 attacker. They're mulling over their position here. Once again, we can maybe assume their hand is full of these Ascension plays, which makes this a little bit difficult in terms of options. But there's a Boom Bat of Perky's own.
Whoa! This is a new one, but okay, Boom Bat coming out to snipe the power of this Plucky that was empowered with the Liar of Apollo. Absolutely good play there. And now we have Infrostics to pull back the Boomerlinks. Look at that animation coming out there. Love to see it. And now that we get a cast of the Boomerlinks, we can search out the Mountains of Boreas, making it a 5.
That's a solar enchanted Brummalinx.
Oh,
and that is and a Ambrosia to add insult to injury. We now have a setup play for a Nixamera next turn and plenty of spirits to do it, even if not the case. Rybot, you have to respond to this Brummalinx.
You could have Frost Enchanted. They got the mountains and still been set up for Nixamera.
Oh, you got to tell us a little more something here, making this a little more exciting. You're also showcasing to Rybot saying, hey, deal with it now, please.
Yeah, I mean, remember, Spectrus is still looming.
That's right. Spectrus is still on the play here. And, oh, God. Rybot, you have a Cryoblast of some sort. Looks like it's an Ambrosia coming down here. Pretty important.
There's that heal. No spoil fruit this time.
No Forced Scurvy up here. We have...
The Forced Scurvy is crazy.
Listen, it worked out once on the Sluggle, okay? Traversing the high seas, or you know, salting the escargot for your previous analogy.
Yo ho, Captain Ahab will go snipe another galaxy with a PTA. But right now, we're just waiting for any sort of whale to hit the field for Rybot's favor, and nothing is really coming through. We are at 7, I believe, for Rybot in terms of spirit count and spirit deck. But what's this?
For a Heliolith, though, we know the second Liar is in hand and might hit the board, and if this Heliolith can bounce back the Brummalinx, Rybot can be back into a position where potentially the only thing that can contest it is a Cryoling. There's Heliolith coming down, and it's Gorgon's Gaze.
Oh,
that's Gorgon's Gaze.
If Nixamera comes out this next turn, it's a huge problem for Rybot.
When you say something just so frost-phobic, you gotta hit the Heliolith with the Gorgon's Gaze to ascend into... You gotta stop it down here. That's Stellar. I know it's lurking. You know it's waiting for it.
Winning a Premier Tournament with an X of 10 Stellar Nixamera would be insane.
Setting down one card from Perky.
We're all just waiting with bated breath at this point. Like, what are you cooking? Why did you not Frost Enchant the Boomerlinks? What are you expecting? What are you imagining? What is the play here?
Going over all the options here, Rybot on 3 spirits with a Liar down. You're going to normal cast another Brummelinks, properly frosted and enchanted to search out a Mountains of Boreas, or potentially just to cast it as a normal option to get the Mountains of Boreas on the board here. Ambrosia coming down from Perky. You've already calculated out all the plays. It's not a Nyxamera play as we assumed it could be, but now you have a body to contest the Heliolith and still do 1 piece of damage to Rybot. You're still in a commanding position from Perky, but does this close out the match?
It's tough to say, but it looks like the attack is going to go through. We do get the Mountains of Boreas coming here at the very end, still trying to protect the back row, but it is a brand new set being set after the Gorgon's Gaze has been spent. The Liar is still swapping the stats of the Boomerang, so that is a 2-4 right now. And, you know, you could be dealing with another Heliolith on this next turn, which would be the final gasp of life for Rybot.
I'm trying to throw us off just a little bit. Rybot draws for turn, asking how many Frost Spirits are inside of the Underworld to potentially try and play a little better around a dropped Cryovern as maybe a game ender. Rybot potentially being able to heal back something to stay in this game with Perky on 6 Spirits, Rybot on 2. 1 Lyre of Apollo and a Dream currently. Can Rybot sink it down? That's going to be, I believe it's a Kaufmel. Kaufmel to swing over.
I mean, with no back row, you're just asking to be wiped by the, oh no, you're getting the healing in now. But Rybot thought that it was a 3/5, but it is a Solar Enchanted.
And we know the Spectaris is in hand, and that can close out this game for Perky to swing on to the Kaufmel. Kaufmel gets suppressed, takes down, that Liar was gone from the Brummelinks being gone. Rybot's on the draw here.
Huge
Another Kaufmel can't do it, and that's going to be a concession from Rybot. We have Perky taken down with Nyxamera winning the Elestrals August 2nd Premier.
Nyxamera has earned the ring. It was on the bench, and it participated to get us in this spot. Fantastic play by Perky, becoming a brand new champion of Elestrals.
Wow, that was insane play. Again, both casters back and forth inside of this Game 3 finals. Rybot's play there at the end with the Kaufmel, last little ditch effort to try and heal back some of those spirits. You got to respect it, try to get into every single thing that you can, and maybe even being afraid of those Nyxameras that we saw just previously in the rounds. Congratulations to both Perky and Rybot. We have a new champion for the Firestorm meta. This is insane. Nyxamera, can you believe it?
And I am here with our newest ever champion, Perky. Hello. First of all, congratulations. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much.
I have to say, you're basically my hero at this point. Winning with Nyxamera. They said it couldn't be done. How are you feeling right now?
I'm on cloud 9 right now. No pun intended, because they're big cloud floof balls. But yeah, I'm pretty happy right now. Like, I don't think it's set in just yet, but I feel pretty good.
I mean, you played out of your mind. It's been so fun to see the development of this list, the different iterations of Nyxamera, people trying to make it work, me stalking you on Twitter and seeing you acquiring these Stellars, which, by the way, I'm going to take a selfish moment in this interview. Do you have the Stellars with you? And can you show them on camera? Because we gotta see them.
We'll do that. So,
oh my goodness.
I don't know if this looks really well, but...
Hey, you know what? We can sense them. So you have the full play set of the Bunnix, and you have both X of 10s.
I do, and that was the only deck building restriction I gave myself, was like, I'm playing all of them because I bought all of them.
Absolutely. Okay, so I guess it's kind of a chicken or the egg question. Did you decide to play Nyxamera and decide to try and win with it because you got the Stellars, or did you get the Stellars because you loved the deck and wanted to play it?
I got the Stellars because I loved the deck and wanted to play it, yeah.
Okay. Hey, I get it. As soon as those X of 10s were announced, my heart was just aflutter.
Oh, yeah.
And
same here. If you go check Twitter, I think I said something like, oh my god, I need that Risen form, like the second that it got revealed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you have the whole collection. I think that is a solid, like, do it for her kind of thing. You have the stellars all pasted in the background.